is the Conservative Colonel Podcast with Harrison Dawes, where one man stands against the rising tide of liberalism. This officer in the battle to preserve our nation is the Conservative Colonel.
Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
And here's Harrison Dawes.
I couldn't get up there for a minute to stop the intro music playing, but welcome back to the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I am your co-host for the evening, Harrison Dawes. I'm joined by Graves Baker. For our poor audio listeners, which is the majority of you, I do apologize for sounding like roadkill. I have gotten the COVID, the China virus once again. Oh, YouTube's going to love that. I didn't even think about that. YouTube's going to love the China virus making
Yeah, they will.
But so I do apologize because I normally just breathe through my nose, so it is becoming a bear to talk because I can't breathe through my nose right now because life just has to suck. But real quick, to make sure we get through some of our announcements, make sure to check us out on conservativecolonel.com and check us out and leave a 5-star review on our main platform, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music and Audible, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. On uploads on Rumble. And we should be caught up on YouTube for the people who want to see my beautiful face because Graves is hiding behind a camera.
Can't see me. John Cena.
Yeah. He's of politics. I don't know if that makes me stone cold because I'm a redneck.
I don't know. I feel like more like a Triple H vibe, just like get some.
Come. It's time to play the game. Yep, there it is. That's all. Okay, that's the end of the show.
Welcome to the Conservative Colonel Podcast.
Oh yeah, welcome. Despite all the news that we still need to cover with it being political season in Mississippi and on the national level with all the crap that's going on there. And we might dive into some of the national politics towards the end of the show. But we have some of the craziest breaking news coming out of Mississippi this week.
I can't even believe it.
To the point where we just had to dedicate an episode to it because when I started this podcast, with all the national news, some of you might have forgotten, but I started this podcast to touch on national news, yes, but to also help people keep in touch with Mississippi politics. And Mississippi decided to throw me a massive curveball with all the national news I have still yet to cover on this show, like poor Mr. Kennedy, and we might get to him towards the end of this episode. But, the corruption of Mississippi is on full display this week. And it's been around for a bit, but it made a lot of headway today with the breaking news that a certain bill is out of committee and it's going to the Senate. And the fact that it's going out of committee tells me that it is indeed a corrupt move. So, for those who don't know a bit of the origins of this show, the origins of this show started a long time ago, but let's fast forward through Turning Point when me and Graves met to when I was helping and volunteering for Chris McDaniel's campaign for lieutenant governor. A very controversial figure in Mississippi politics, but I am a proud Enjoyed my time working with him. We fought a good fight to try to stop Delbert Hosemann from retaining the most powerful position in the state of Mississippi. And Delbert showing everybody that they were wrong for voting for him this week. Oh my gosh. Has he outdone himself? When he's not trying to get trans rights and men and being able to go into women's bathrooms, it seems like he's defending corruption now.
I remember you saying right after, well, I mean, it was when I first started coming on and we were talking about him a little bit. You said that he was a rhino. You said that, he was going to be corrupt or was corrupt or, stuff like this was going to happen. And now here we are. I mean, really, I didn't think it was going to be this out in public, but
I thought he was going to do what he did during his first term as lieutenant, which was pass one major conservative law and pass these small liberal laws. It's what he's been doing for the past 4 years. Go look at the Senate and the main stuff that's getting passed is really conservative. None of it, you might have a conservative win here or there so that he can look back at his voters and be like, I did that. But he also said, I stopped the transgender men going into women's bathrooms thing when that came out of one of his committees. But, when the Democrats are saying don't have anybody challenge Delbert, and when the Democrats are endorsing you over another conservative, maybe it's time to step back and reflect. But luckily for us, he doesn't have to, we can. So where this story picks up is in with our state auditor, Shad White, who I'll freely admit, I had my doubts about, which have been completely thrown away with. I'm one of those people, actions speak louder than words. And Auditor White has taken the fight to corruption here in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I can't respect him enough for that because now his whole office is under attack. Not him. Heck, not even his family, which they do both get attacked later. Let's not forget that. But the office of auditor in Mississippi is under attack. That is how pissed they are that he's calling them out. So this dates back to the welfare scandal, and we'll go over this and again. I have 2 articles mainly right now we're going to use as talking points, and this is not a topic that will be over in one episode. It was such a big topic.
Stuff's going to keep happening.
It's going to keep happening. Again, I'm hoping to come back strong with another episode next week. I won't say that this will be the focus of it. I'm not saying Hunter's laptop is not going to be the focus of it because we have so much stuff to go over. It's the busy season. So, heck, if I'm feeling well, we might try to film 2 episodes because this is just bonkers of a week. But so to do the wink wink title of the episode, to quote State Auditor Shad White, at a time when President Trump is cutting government fat, Mississippi swamp creatures and establishment politicians are trying to stop me from finding theft of taxpayer funds and theft of taxpayer funds. You might as well call this the Mississippi Corruption Act of 2025. But what is he talking about? Senate Bill 2847 was assigned to the Accountability, Effectiveness, and Transparency Committee. Isn't that some irony? This bill will strip away the auditor's power to perform audits on some nonprofit and for-profit companies spending taxpayer money. The state auditors used its ability to audit for for-profit companies receiving taxpayers' dollars to investigate a large pharmacy benefit manager in 2020, which resulted in the largest civil recovery, $55 million in the history of the Office of the State Auditor. The welfare scandal, the largest public fraud scheme in state history, was only stopped because the auditor's office could audit these kind of entities. So they're taking, so the welfare scandal, oh, they could have gotten away with that. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get more money for themselves. But also, they're going to remove audit for government waste. So he can't audit.
They just don't want you to see where the possible, I'm going to use that, possible money laundering, possible corruption, that welfare stuff has to do with Brett Favre as well, and Phil Bryant. So it goes a long way. Delbert's been there for a while, and he's trying to cover for all of them. That's all.
Oh, yeah. And we will connect this back to Delbert in a bit. That's in another article. This is just the icing on the cake. This is like a summary. Let's see here. Because Auditor White just released an audit finding $335 million in waste in the state government. This bill would take away the office's ability to perform these audits for waste. They also would strip its power to file suit to get back stolen or misspent taxpayer funds. Last year, State Auditor White filed suit to get some welfare money, and though Attorney General Lynn Finch sued White to stop him. The court ruled White had his authority. This bill would remove White's authority to file these suits. So again, now we have a second corrupt politician being outed here. Our Attorney General.
Yeah.
I'll say it louder for the people in the back. Our Attorney General filed a lawsuit to try to stop him. It was overturned via his power to actually do this. But now they're stripping it away. Why? Well, she probably got in old Delbert's ear. Because, again, you cannot convince me. Delbert's in the most powerful seat in the Mississippi government. You cannot tell me he didn't know about this. You cannot tell me that he didn't plead for this behind closed doors. We'll never have confirmation. That's one of the cool things about being lieutenant governor. You can play power man behind the scenes. People will know it's from you without you having to put your foot in your mouth. So Delbert is knowing what he's doing. And he's trying to keep all his friends happy because, in my opinion, Delbert's the lead rhino here in Mississippi. Hi, Delbert. I hope you're listening. So, sorry. Still got COVID. So that bill would take it all away. Again, this Senate bill just got out of committee today. Senate Bill 2847. And before we go any farther, I do have a quote from Shad White's Facebook about how he feels about this and what he kind of wants people to do to fight back. And I thought, if we're going to be talking about this, we might as well give everybody what Shad is asking them to do to fight back. So, he wants people to know. He said, update and bad news. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann's Senate committee just passed the Mississippi Corruption Act. The committee chair acknowledged that he wrote the bill with Attorney General Finch. So that's public now. This is a bit older article that I was reading. So it's public now that our Attorney General was a part of this corruption bill. Knowledge, no. Because the committee chair announced it. We are on the precipice of going, or for fighting, or for going. We're We are on the
COVID.
precipice. I have COVID and I have dyslexia. Kill me.
The
Of going
precipice.
back. Precipice. This is why you're here, Graves, to correct my bad pronunciation. Being the most corrupt state in the country. The bill now heads to the Senate floor. Call Lt Gov Hosemann now if you oppose the corruption bill, Senate Bill 2847. And here's his phone number, 601-359-3200. So I'll be calling that tomorrow.
See, I want to know.
And my
Has Tate said anything? Like, has he even put out a tweet or any type of public statement or acknowledgement of all this going on? Has he said anything? I don't know.
Let's check.
Because I voted for him twice, but I'm not going to say he's the best governor in the country. I think we have gotten some new investment deals, including my Mayor Hal Farrell, which you can contact me at 662-7. But no, seriously, we are taking volunteers for that. He met with Tate Reeves not long ago, and we are having a $21 million 200-job investment in my hometown, thanks to the meeting between my mayor and Tate Reeves. So,
Congratulations!
got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I don't see where he's done it. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not talking bad about Tate. I'm not saying Tate's involved. Tate is in the second most powerful position in the state, but again, he's also a politician and knows when to keep his head out of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I won't say that Tate is just a diehard conservative on either of our views, Graves, but I don't think he would approve of this. He might veto it. He might not. He did just deliver the state of the state 10 hours ago. I haven't watched that.
I haven't either.
I don't know if he addresses this whatsoever. I will have to check. And, of course, we have reached out to Shad White for a opinion. He might drop Tate Reeves. I mean, I don't know. Mr. White is the one that has dove into the corruption. Now, I don't know if Tate has spoken out against this or not. I hope he would.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know for a fact. I will say this. I hope he does. It's just a bit of a weird situation to be in, I will admit. But yeah, no, I'm imploring all of our listeners and asking two things: to call Delbert Hosemann and to share this episode out so more people will know.
Yeah, because this is something that, a lot of times I'm touching on national politics, which probably at the end of the episode I might. But, this is something that I've really not been involved in Mississippi politics a whole lot, and this is the first thing where I'm just like, wow. So the corruption in the Republican Party in Mississippi is still real. It's why we're not the most conservative voting state in the country when we should be, and should be the leader of what is the conservative movement other than the Trump MAGA movement. And it's people like Delbert that are holding us back, and the corruption who he's trying to swipe it under the rug. He wants to kill it, obviously. I mean, he's trying to take away Auditor White's power to even investigate this stuff. That tells you right there who's in the wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it like this. People asked me a long time ago, why did I think, and this was before the show, and I might have mentioned it on the show in earlier episodes, but why do I think that Mississippi is not leading? Why is Florida leading? Why is Texas leading? They have huge liberal cities that hold them back. and they still make strides for the conservative movement.
We don't even have a big city like that.
Yeah. We have Jackson. We have Oxford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oxford, I think, went pretty much purple this last time,
Yeah.
but a little bit red.
So, and we've already talked about how Jackson is a crap hole. And how their mayor is being indicted for corruption charges. But
yeah.
And hopefully we'll have an update on that, but there's so much news going on. But we've talked about Delbert on this show before. The thing that's going around the circle again is that Delbert was vice president of an abortion clinic, the first abortion clinic in Mississippi, while being pro-life. So
it's a little contradictory.
Bit contradictory. Delbert will say he was just a lawyer for them, which, again, you can pick and choose your clientele. If you couldn't,
and you wouldn't be the vice president.
Yeah, you wouldn't be vice president with your name on the Secretary of State's website. It's public record. And people are like, it's dissolved. It doesn't matter. It was in the 70s. I don't care. And that also proves how old Delbert is. But
yeah, no kidding.
I don't care if it was dissolved in the 70s. What I care is that he was vice president listed. And so, again, that's making the rounds. Well, who told y'all that? Chris McDaniel's the one that found this. He is the one that found this document and put it out there, but no one cared. And we're getting a bit off track, so we'll take a commercial break in a bit, and I'll get back on the story. But I am taking a point of privilege.
Well, I mean, I think it's, what we should do. Just talk about, not just the headlines, We're kind of talking about the past, or kind of intertwining everything, It's been going on for a long time. Phil Bryant hasn't been governor in a little while now. So
yeah. And I mean, I love Phil, but he's been indicted on the welfare scandal as well. I mean, I like Phil because of all the stuff he did for dyslexia, because that helped me, but and we did make strides in that category. And he might not be involved. We haven't checked. We haven't done an update on that story in a while. But Delbert has been involved in politics for a while. This might be his second term as lieutenant governor, but he's been involved in politics for a while. So it's to your conclusion that you can make that Mississippi has been a corrupt political establishment for a while. I wouldn't say it beat out Washington, but
no.
We've definitely been there. And
well,
it's a sad fact that we have fought it. People like, and I'm not going to refer to this a lot more, but it's because I know so much of this. Chris McDaniel fought tooth and nail for the 3 terms he was in office for as senator. When he fought Delbert Hosemann for lieutenant governor, and then told everybody that Delbert was a rhino. He came up with the slogan, Delbert the Democrat. Wasn't a campaign slogan. It was the truth. Delbert is a corrupt politician. He's not who you think he is. He's not a conservative. He doesn't have Mississippi's best interests at heart. Why, when we have the supermajority, would you want to vote in a Democrat running as a Republican? But everybody kept telling Chris, well, you're throwing mud. You're being mean. You shall not tack another Republican, quoting Ronald Reagan. And I love Ronald Reagan, but Ronald Reagan was basically saying, don't criticize Ronald Reagan when he made that quote. Ronald Reagan would not have standed for this corruption in the Republican Party in Mississippi or on the national level. Ronald Reagan would have called that person out immediately, which is why we all love Ronald Reagan. But people,
yeah, I mean, and Delbert is the definition of lying like a politician. In my realm of work I do, we would literally just say that he's well, I forgot the word. Anyway.
Oh, it's fine, but let's take a quick commercial break because I have to do more of these, and we'll just jump right back into it. All right, we're back, and I had to stop myself or I'd get on a little soapbox about this, but I mean, it is true. We tried to warn everybody at election time, and everybody was like, don't criticize the Mississippi Republican Party. Some of them were like, y'all shouldn't be going after fellow Republicans like this. And I'll stand by the statement. If they're not acting like Republicans, if they're not voting like Republicans, if they're not really Republicans, is it going after a Republican?
I would say no.
So it's just the truth has come out, and it's come out a way people can accept it. I wish it would have come out during the election. We wouldn't be in this situation now where the top government official in Mississippi is standing in the way of a corruption investigation and trying to strip the state auditor of his powers to investigate corruption. But here we are. But they say this bill is started to make sure that the state auditor, the Secretary of State, and the Attorney General work closer together. That's why they're stripping him of his powers. That's a quote from the bill's author, by the way.
We've had separation and balance of powers in Mississippi for a long time. I feel like that would be, you're getting rid of the power of something that has been set for a while.
Yeah. It's just trying to stop a man that's fighting against corruption. But so when Shad White released the government waste study last year, it ruffled a couple feathers, but it didn't probably happen the way he wanted. So Senator Dave Parker, Republican, has filed a bill seeking to strip the attorney generals of the powers we stated at the beginning of this episode. The bill was sent to Parker's committee, which, again, who picks the committee chairmen? Hosemann. And the committee is called the Accountability, Effectiveness, and Transparency Committee. Again, the irony is not lost upon me. And it has now been sent to the chamber to vote. I think, and this is a quote from Parker, I think we can more clearly define financial affairs, and we can more clearly define what's under the purview of the auditor to clear up any miscommunications out there. Again, just politicking the crap out of this, hoping and praying that people don't bite his head off. But I'm saying everybody's name clear into the mic.
Yep.
Let's see here. Again, in December, the Attorney General's office released a statement identifying $335 million in government waste across 13 state agencies. They bid out, and again, we talked about how they're removing the state auditor's power to do this. So it's stupid that they're saying he doesn't have the power to do this when they're taking away his power to do this. But he contacted the Boston Consultant Group, and they helped him identify the government waste. In December as well, the Attorney General's office released a statement saying White did not have the authority to contact the Boston Consultant Group to identify the $335 million in government waste across 13 state agencies. The opinion
you can't find out.
is just crazy. Again, he has the power to do it, but but our Attorney General was like, but don't do it.
Yeah.
Because, again, the bill is taking away his right to do that. And, of course, White put on there, and I've already read part of this, but I think this is another quote. The swamp creatures and establishment politicians in Mississippi have sued me to stop me from recovering welfare money, try to legally stop me from looking into wasting of the state government, and now have a bill to strip the auditor's office of key powers. And this
I
is
never
just...
thought in
Go
Mississippi, that we knew about Delbert, at least the ones that didn't vote for him. And I was hoping I think we actually said this in an earlier episode, that we hope he doesn't be as bad as we think he's going to be. And, now we're seeing this. I think it's blatant corruption that hopefully he doesn't get his powers taken away. We can actually get to the bottom of everything, bring our money back to the state, whatever happened to everything. I think Mississippi right now, we have gotten a lot more investments. We're on a track where if we can keep up with it and keep the rhinos, Mitt Romney types, Delbert Hosemann types from being in charge of the state, we're going to actually become a pretty wealthy state soon. I think people underestimate us, but we have gotten more investments in the last year than I've seen in a long time. And it just seems like it's happening every other week now.
Mississippi is on the rebound finally. We're on the right track to bring our state some wealth. And I will give Tate and Andy Gibson, our agriculture commissioner, some credit. We're doing it while keeping the identity of Mississippi as this small state that just wants to have everybody make a decent living. We're staying agriculture. We don't want big cities. We're farmers. We're rednecks. We like it here. Back off. We're doing that.
I like my land.
I like my land. Leave me alone. The spirit of Mississippi, everybody. But again, when you have these big money deals, corruption flourishes. But I think it's obvious that corruption's been flourishing for a while. And if we don't get these rhinos, because again, our attorney general has just been outed as one of them. I had my suspicions, but when someone's in an office like that, you don't really know if they're liberal or conservative. They're just they're
supposed to
general.
be they're supposed to be nonpartisan. On paper.
But our attorney general has just outed the fact that she is corrupt. She is a rhino. She is trying to save face, trying to stop these corruption charges, or not charges, let me rephrase, trying to stop this man, because she knows White's going to be like a dog with a bone. He's found where the money has been spended wrong. Waste. Well, now let's see if there's any corruption tied to it. And I think that's got everybody scared. And now you're seeing an engrossment abuse of power by the lieutenant governor. And this goes on. Go ahead.
I wonder how far it goes, though. People that are in the state legislature, it can't only be the people at the there's got to be other stuff. And I just hope, for the sake of Mississippi and for the people, because just like releasing the JFK files, the MLK files and stuff, sure, a lot of it might be redacted, but there's still some information in there, and the people deserve to know what their government, federally or state level, is doing at all costs, where their taxes are going. That's why I love Doge. And after, right before we end, I do want to touch on some of that. That'll be the only thing federal, but
yeah, that's fine. Because I want to touch. I hate corruption. I hate government wasting our money. I hate lies. If it's for we have this country might attack us, so we have to keep our knowledge of this a secret. Okay, that's fair. But keeping everything a secret because you think it's going to piss off the people and get you out of office, that's different. And this is one of those cases. And please note, Delbert has done this already once where he completely merged a senator's seat with a massive liberal area in the Delta so he could get this senator out of power because she questioned Delbert.
So
She
do you mean after
challenged
the 2020 census when we redistricted?
Yep. Delbert used the power he has as lieutenant governor to redistrict to take away her seat and combine it with another in a heavy Democratic area here in the Mississippi Delta. So Delbert's already done this once, and he's trying to do it again. He's trying to strip power away from anybody who challenges the king. And that's what he's acting like, a monarch, a dictator. I'm not ashamed to say it. Delbert is going after anybody he dang well pleases challenging him. Because the lieutenant governor's crazy powerful. And he should not be in that office.
I agree.
Impeachment.
Hey,
it would not happen in a heartbeat here.
Look, Democrats talk about it all the time. That's one thing that Republicans don't do. We don't band together like that to just say, hey, we all dislike this person. We're just going to run for impeachment.
Yeah.
I think Nancy said that about Trump like yesterday, by the way. I think they're already calling for that. So we're going to go through that again. Another 4 years of that. But, that point besides that's someone that actually deserves it. If the corruption is able to be looked into and investigated the way it should be, and we find out what, he was involved in, allegedly, then he should be impeached.
I agree. I don't think it'll happen here. I could dream. But, going on, Senator John Pork, a Republican from Hattiesburg, again, Delbert has complete control of the Senate now. His two biggest proponents are gone. I wish I could remember that senator's name, that girl senator, that woman senator, that he took her seat away. It's on the tip of my tongue. I follow her on Facebook, but I can't remember it. Maybe I'll remember it in a future episode, but he's done this once. He was able to get Chris out of office. So Delbert has no big opponent challenging him this time around. So, again, John Polk from Hattiesburg requested the opinion because he suspects that the auditor's actions issuing the contract for the study about wasteful spending may have broken state law. And that study includes ideas that have been long considered within Mississippi State Capitol walls.
So, looking into corruption is now against the law. Apparently.
Yes. Yeah, well, no, you challenged us. How dare you? Delbert's up there with like a throne and a crown. How dare you challenge me, peasant?
The saying goes that once they, you give an inch, they take a mile or whatever. Yes. But it also, once they take some power away from you, you don't just ask for it back and get it back. You have to fight to get it back.
That is one of the hardest things about our government. Our government is the best out there. But the thing that we kind of lose track of as Americans, and Ronald Reagan
forget
said
our power.
Yes, we forget our power as citizens, as the people of this country, the fact that they are representatives of us and not our leaders. They're not supposed to lead us. They're supposed to represent us. Trump can say he was elected as a leader or a national representative, having that one person. He's the president. Congress, you could somewhat get away with it, but not really. Definitely not here in Mississippi. No. And the thing is, is that in times of crisis, we give the government a lot of power. And Ronald Reagan said it. You know, you're only one generation away from your liberty being and freedoms being taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right, because you always have to fight when the government is like, we have the power to do this. You have to be very cautious, even if it's working for your benefit. Like, even if tomorrow, say, Trump signs, I don't think this would work, but Trump signs an executive order banning abortion and Congress supports it. You know, the federal government doesn't have the power to do that unless the Constitution dictates it. They can pass a constitutional amendment banning it, but that also requires the permission of the states.
That's the thing. I've been saying this for a while. You know, Roe v. Wade was overturned not because we're trying to take away women's rights, but because it is not in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats have had, at that point, 50 years to make a constitutional amendment, which of those 50 years, the majority of the time, they controlled both chambers of the Congress. So they had plenty of time to do that.
Yeah, they could have gotten that to a ballot to the states.
Yeah.
And who knows? I don't know if we've lived to see a constitutional amendment, me or Graves. So I can't even remember. I remember that the states do have to approve it. Maybe the 25th. I know the states have to approve it. But, you know, I don't know if it's how it's done. I would have to look all that up. But,
you know, they also say that we're trying to take away the 14th Amendment and we're going to take away, like, all this other stuff. It's like, dude, look, as long as you don't touch the Bill of Rights, I think anything is up for debate.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, say, my grandfather has used this argument. He doesn't like people kneeling during the national anthem when that was going on during the NFL. He wanted, you know, a new law being passed that you could not kneel. That could not happen. Freedom of speech. But say it happens anyway. That doesn't mean the government has the power to do that. You have to stand up and fight every now and then to tell the government no. And this is one of those cases where you have to tell the government no. Now, here's my favorite quote in this article. Favorite quote. This is all coming from a liberal Clarion Ledger. So this is not coming from a conservative news outlet. This is coming from a liberal one. And it's my favorite quote of the day. Graves knows it. Parker told the Clarion Ledger he filed the bill independent of any other state Senate member and was not directed by Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann to file the litigation. I don't cuss on this show, so I'm going to be nice. But I'm calling BS.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It's one of those admissions without saying it, you know, but it reminds me of I did not have relations with that woman.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I did not.
That's what it reminds me of.
It does, doesn't
I
it?
was not directed.
I was not directed by Lieutenant Governor. Like, use the man's full government name, too.
Yeah.
I was not directed by Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann. Now, he could say that this is because White is telling everybody that Delbert Hosemann's in charge of it. But let's be honest. Who runs the Senate with an iron fist right now? And who has declared he runs the Senate with an iron fist? Who has put the people he controls in charge of powerful committees that their whole job is dictating if bills go before the Senate?
Yeah.
Delbert Hosemann. Let's be honest. If there's a bill that the lieutenant governor does not want to even reach the floor, guess what he can do? Put in a committee he controls and tell them, hey, debate over this until the end of session or to the deadline.
And then they just leave it.
And they just leave it. It happens all the time. If you have a lot of bad stuff.
Mississippi does that a lot.
Yeah, Mississippi does it a lot. I'm scared they're going to do that with eliminating the income tax. That maybe that's just a promise to keep us away from stuff like that. Because that's the only conservative thing on the bill register, I believe, right now. I haven't really dived
as far as I've heard.
So that's the only real conservative thing. So they're using that to keep people away from looking at this, at the other corrupt stuff they're doing. So again, that's a direct quote from the Clarion Ledger from Senator Parker saying that. And I could not believe that if you paid me.
I would not.
That's a lie.
I would not, I would not act like Karine Jean-Pierre and just lie outright. And no, that's too much.
Well, here's my
You
thing.
just know it.
If these are rumors, if this is a bold-faced lie, Delbert would come out and say this is a lie. Or maybe, you can look at the facts and just say, well, you know what? Delbert didn't tell me to do it, but I'm proud to say I did it. He's not doing that. He is, quote, it just reads like he knows that the jig is up. I filed this bill independently, exact quote, independently from any other Senate member and was not directed by Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann to file the legislation. You're telling me
it says it all.
It says it all right there in that quote. Delbert Hosemann is behind this, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
So stand up, Mississippi. I am begging you. Share this episode out. Let us fight corruption, because Shane has other stuff that we could talk about in another episode. Like, Mississippi schools are starting to teach critical race, which they're not by law supposed to. Or actually, the law got defeated because someone said, and I've heard this so many times, come on, we're Mississippi. That will never happen here. I've heard that defeat so many bills, it's annoying.
Yeah.
But yes, that is something we could talk about later. Not on this episode. We've already almost filled up an hour. But there's so many other things that Shade is trying to bring light to that this would cripple him. So again, before we change topics and go to the national news for a bit, because this has been a dominating source. I have COVID. My voice is dying on me. I still have another thing I have to go do after this where it requires a lot of talking. So, again, I'm going to ask, if you want this to stop, call your senators. Call multiple senators. And
call them. It doesn't matter if you're in their district.
Yeah, no. Blow up everybody. Call the governor. Go every inch, every mile. Fight Mississippi.
I pledge to call Delbert Hosemann's office tomorrow.
Yeah, and more importantly, to piss him off, call Delbert's office at 601-359-3200. I said it.
Join us.
Join us. I'm going to be calling it multiple times tomorrow just to piss Delbert off, because he should know who I am by now because I've done it so many times. 601-359-3200 to tell him to stop the Mississippi Corruption Act, also known as Senator Bill 2847. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and Graves is going to take us home. Thank the good Lord. Welcome back to the Conservative Colonel Podcast. We're going to be wrapping it up. Again, I have COVID, so you're going to be hearing Graves for a bit for the ending part of this website, because our website of this episode, because I've killed my voice because I'm so pissed at corruption in Mississippi, my home state. Our Mississippi viewers got a heck of an episode. If you're out of the state and listen to the show, I'm sorry. But this needed to be talked about. But without further ado, Graves, take it away.
Well, the corruption, man, it's this is probably, we knew about the Brett Favre stuff, but the corruption with this stuff, I feel like it's going to be a little bit bigger if we can actually get to it. So I'm glad that, I learned a lot today, just kind of standing by and listening to you. I just really wanted to talk about other corruption, which is at the federal government. And we have been, I've touched on it on other episodes where, we were studying the sex habits of fish in the Gulf of America. I had to throw that in there. But
That was perfect.
now they I think the first 2 days, because Doge did not get officially established until Trump signed an executive order. Like they've been looking into stuff not part of Doge that they have information about now, but Doge got confirmed through an executive order a couple of days ago. So we've only had a couple of days, and we've already saved, I believe it's around $400 million for taxpayers. We're talking a couple of days. And I'm going to tell you the one that is probably the most egregious. And YouTube, Spotify, whatever you want to say, if they want to flag me for this, just go look at the government website. You can find this anywhere you want to. We were spending, I'm not kidding, $100 million on condoms for Gaza per year under Biden. For condoms.
All right, time out.
I'm serious. It's a fact.
I don't know what's worse, Mississippi having the Life Begins at Erection Act. That's an actual bill, by the way, in the Mississippi Senate. Mississippi Pride. I haven't read the bill yet, so I don't know if I agree with it or not. I don't say it, but the name of the bill. But we're sending condoms to another country?
Yeah, the one that's at war with Israel, even though we're also sending them hundreds of millions, if not a couple $1 billion in aid to also blow up that area that we're sending condoms to, because for some reason we need to fund $100 million to people having relations in a war area. To me, it all sounds like money laundering. You know what I mean? We were also spending $700,000 a year to figure out if fish are blinded by sunlight. We spent, I think it was $1.2 million to find out if cats, to find out if cats were able to be, gay. I mean,
that threw me off.
No, I mean seriously, like there's so
Doesn't
much
this
like
sound like we're like on The Office, like government edition, and this is like a joke. Like
how about $10 million a year to Pakistan for gender studies? I mean,
Pakistan?
Yes.
Aren't they like behind the world on like gender rights for like by 100 years at least? Or am I thinking of another country?
Pakistan is just like Afghanistan. You'll get stoned or thrown off a building. I mean, it's and there's no way that we're actually sending that money over there and doing stuff for that. Where's that money going? That's what we're figuring out. We've cut the programs, but now they're figuring out from the programs we're cutting, where's that money gone? So we have the House, Intelligence Committee, the Oversight Committee, these different financial committees and stuff are going to be looking into what Doge has found and has cut to see where the money actually went and, if anything was actually ever done in these programs, which, to be completely honest, I highly doubt anything was ever done in any of those.
I really want to see the response. Hey, has your men been using condoms? Just need to know. For our budgeting, man, we just need to know. I cannot believe you said 100 million, right?
Yeah, it equivalent, like based off the price of, a condom. It said that it would be 1 billion condoms that Biden administration would have sent to Gaza. There's nowhere
we're just
near
hoping that we
many people
stop them
live
from
there.
reproducing, or like, what's the plan here? Like, we're just like, they deserve 1 billion condoms.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It was the craziest thing. My roommate was here while I was watching the video of, what they had cut. And there's more that I can't remember, which I'm going to send you after we get done, and you'll hear even more stuff. But I love the fact that they've already saved that much money, and the fact that the corruption in Mississippi we've talked about, the federal government, it's just as corrupt, except it's got a larger pool of money. So it's a lot more money being lost. You said 335 million in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
We're just getting started in the federal government. It's going to be crazy.
I can't imagine. I mean, and we all know that the federal government has had a problem with corruption, and the federal government will always have a problem with corruption. We need to put constitutional amendments out there, in my opinion, to help staple it out. But I mean, it'll always be there. But the fact that it's just overflowing with corruption at this point.
And I'll tell you, more than just the corruption and the overprinting of money, what ruined this country financially, why in the 80s you were spending just barely more than you would on average make as an average American for, living, like house, food, everything, kids, doesn't matter. Now it's like 80%. You'd have to make like 80% higher than you did back then compared to prices now. It's such a big difference. And it has to do with 1971. We got rid of the gold standard. Inflation started skyrocketing right after that. So did government spending. We also, when we created the Federal Reserve, I'm pretty sure that Mr. President at that time said that he thinks he might have just ended the United States of America. Now we're able to just overprint instead of having an actual money supply, and we don't have gold anymore either. So the value of the dollar has gone down ever since. And you take that stuff into account, along with the corruption, the money laundering stuff that we know has been going on, but will never be exposed unless Doge actually does it. I hope. Then you can keep counting on that debt to keep going up, and country will probably never get better. I mean, we got to stop it.
We have a budgeting problem, but not only that. How many times do we go over budget? Our budget's already is more than we can afford, and then we go over budget. We send billions upon billions of dollars overseas, and look, if we had the money, I probably would still have a problem with it. But at least if we had the money, it would be like, okay, well, they are elected. I guess they can do that. But we don't have the money.
No.
We're so far into let me just pull it up.
What is it now? Probably 38 trillion or so?
I wouldn't be shocked. Oh, no. It's just $36 trillion into debt.
Oh, only 36 trillion?
Only 36 trillion. But like, we're in debt. People don't understand. That has to be paid at some point.
It's, as of right now, it's like $300,000 per taxpayer.
Yeah. I can't afford that. Can you afford that, Grace?
No, I would like a $300,000 payment.
I would love it. That'd be enough money for me to just be like, you know what? I can quit. That's more money than I thought I'd see.
Yeah, I would take 2 years off.
Yeah, for sure. But I want to know what our government thinks we're going to do to pay that back.
Well, I'll say this. Tariffs was when the country was the richest it ever was. It was before we had income tax. It was before we had Social Security and credit. Now Social Security, okay, I'm good with that. But we didn't have credit. We didn't have income tax or any other tax. We had a war tax that was killed. But then right after World War I, we actually started the income tax right after we started the Fed, go figure. And now here we are. You know, we're getting taxed out the wazoo. I had a friend tell me today, he took home he made 126,000 this year. He took home 102. 24 grand out of his pocket. Like that's robbery in my opinion. Because you know, maybe if you made 250,000, 24 grand, but 126,
they're taking like a good portion of his income. And my thing is there's so many, like, this is awful to say on air, and he's going to listen to this episode, but say my father dies, I inherit the whole farm. Well, guess what I have to do now? Inheritance tax. Not based on how much you make, but how worth is something you're inheriting. Well, here's my problem. I'm inheriting land, a farm.
Same.
That's not money I'm inheriting. That's family stuff that's been passed. No farmer is a millionaire. If he is,
we should get rid of that.
We should, because as a farmer, you know, the worst thing I've heard farmers, the thing I've heard farmers fear more than bills, more than taxes, more than beef being lowered, is what happens when the inheritance tax hits my family. They're scared.
I'll make a pledge right now. When I run for either state, you know, Senate or state house, which I'm going to, when I do, I'm going to write legislation and hopefully try to get it passed to get rid of a land inheritance tax.
You know what, Graves? I might run. Who knows? If I do end up running, I'll co-author the bill with you.
Yeah, we just run at the same time, both win, and then co-author it.
Yeah. Could
Look
you
at
imagine
us making campaign plans here?
Yeah, look. Could you imagine the crap, for lack of another word, we would stir in that Capitol? Oh, it'd be glorious.
Even if I only got 2 years because of it, and they put up a bunch of money to get me out, it'd be worth it. Because
don't worry. State
HELL.
Are you talking about national politics or state?
State. If I was in the state, I would do the same thing if I was in national.
5 years, baby. 5 years to call.
You talking about?
Yeah. On the state level, you get a 5-year term. I think. I think it's 5, maybe 4.
Sorry, I just got a phone call. I am here, but no, I mean, whatever the term is, I would, you know, whatever is going to improve like that.
Okay, sorry, 4-year terms. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah, 4 years to cause chaos. Graves is starting to bug out on us. So, well, Graves just had to leave. So we'll end this. We'll end this episode with that. Poor Graves. I'll try to see if he'll come back on so Graves can say goodbye. Graves just got his Wi-Fi cut back on today, so it seems it's still a bit buggy. So I was trying to say wait till you could come back before I say goodbye. Yeah. 1
secondo.
I don't know if that's ever been said on the show before. 1 secondo?
It
Probably hasn't.
I'm trying to get this. Well, I guess I'm not going to be able to connect to my headphones. Anyway, what I was saying at the very end was just that, I want to get rid of that.
It shouldn't be here anyway. Hello? I think we've lost Graves again. Oh, bless his heart. Poor Graves. Graves just text. Let's see what Graves says. He might not be coming back, guys. If so, that's fine. Graves is saying that his phone just blew up, it looks like. He's telling him I want to get rid of that tax. So, yeah, Graves wants to get rid of that tax. I don't know if Graves can hear me. I didn't notice he was on my screen still. But it looks like your mic died. But, yeah, no, it should get rid of. We had a great episode talking about the corruption in the national and federal and state level today. I guess without further ado, please share this episode out. Call Delbert's office as soon as you can tomorrow or whenever you're hearing this. Just blow it up. Piss them off. Call your senators. Share this episode out. Leave a 5-star review. Go check us out on conservativekernel.com. And join us back next Thursday for another episode of the Conservative Colonel Podcast. God bless America, and God bless Mississippi.